Hi, my name's Allison, and I'm at the University of Michigan Water Center, which is a boundary organization of the University of Michigan, which allows us to work with communities, governments, and scientists to solve real-world water quality problems. So I'm the project manager for the Western Lake Erie Basin Advisory Group, and I'm going to talk more about that today. All right. So our group came about when Michigan committed to adaptive management as a key strategy within its STAP. And the state at that point recognized that the critical importance of increasing public engagement to meet phosphorus reduction goals, and devised a new plan to establish a multi-sector community advisory group. And so at this time, the state of Michigan approached the University of Michigan Water Center to facilitate the group as a neutral third party. So the state believed that by enlisting a third party with experience facilitating multi-sector processes through practices like active listening and co-production, that it would be more likely to convene a diverse community advisory group and create a space where all perspectives could be heard and valued by the state and our community partners. So the primary goal of this group is to build trust both among community leaders from a diverse array of sectors in Michigan's portion of the Western Lake Erie Basin. And this spans from urban Detroit to rural Hillsdale County. And then among these community leaders, the state agency staff, like Michelle, community partners, like Jackson at the Conservation District, and scientists who are working, scientists like Nate Manning, who are working on projects in the watershed. So establishing this trust with all these very different people early on in the engagement process can enhance information sharing and collaboration and help break down silos. So by recruiting members from a really wide range of sectors, we were able to bring together diverse perspectives to provide an array of public input to inform adaptive management of Michigan's domestic action plan and to facilitate information sharing through a network of networks that extends throughout the watershed. Each advisory group member is a leader in their community and a conduit of information to and from the state. And so the state engages in an iterative process with this multi-sector group, listening and responding appropriately with regular in-person check-ins. So to get started with this process in spring 2023, we had been funded by the Herb Family Foundation, and we began identifying potential members by consulting some stakeholder mapping work that was designed to help the state of Michigan consider a broader range of organizations involved in nutrient management in the Western Lake Erie Basin. So the work identified important sectors and perspectives, which in turn helped us create a balanced advisory group made up of members involving folks who are either managing phosphorus sources themselves, who are affected by excess phosphorus in water, or were advocating for clean water. And then we also asked each new member to suggest additional areas of community expertise that were missing from our membership list to round it out. So since establishing this group in August of 2023, members have observed that it's one of the more diverse groups they've engaged in regarding water quality issues. And so at our first meeting, folks expressed, especially the farmers in the room, that they didn't feel like they were being singled out this time, and that there was proportional representation from everybody who was contributing to and being affected by the problem present in the room. And we've also observed a lot of instances of folks with very different backgrounds, exchanging personal stories, fostering a deeper personal understanding of the other's perspective. So to recruit members, I extended personal invitations to meet, and then we discussed their potential involvement as a member of the newly established group and outlined the group's goal to bring diverse perspectives to the table to help inform and update Michigan staff. So in these initial meetings, my main goal was to listen and address questions about joining the group. So for example, we asked about people's professional and personal goals for participating, and what they were trying to accomplish. And so we listened to their perspectives on threats to water quality in Lake Erie, progress and barriers they've encountered so far, and their communication preferences. In these meetings, we also set up expectations for what it would look like to participate in the group, which included at least a 3-year commitment, contributing personal and professional knowledge and networks, and acting as a representative voice for their organization or community. For example, we asked everyone to share the knowledge gained from their engagement with the advisory group and their networks. So in doing so, we created this 2-way communication channel between the state of Michigan, our community leaders, and all of their networks, which established a network of networks throughout Michigan's Western Lake Erie Basin. After interviewing about 70 interested people, we ended up with an advisory group of about 65 participants who bring a wide range of perspectives to the table. Many positions have proxy members so that we can guarantee there's at least one representative from each sector at each in-person meeting. All right, so I analyzed all these interviews that we did and submitted a report with initial feedback to Michigan's DAP team back in 2023. And this report included a summary of the advisory group members' motivations for participating, their goals for the process, their perceived barriers and successes, and their communication expectations from the state. So for example, members were intrinsically motivated to protect Lake Erie, to expand their networks, and represent their community. And members also sought to improve the DAP's actions to meet that 40% reduction goal. And we're looking for a more coordinated effort among the very many entities collecting data, implementing practices, and testing out BMPs in the watershed. So to understand the issues that were most important to the group, I analyzed what people said. So of 55 interviews, ideas referenced by at least 25 separate people and over 50 unique times are listed here. So the most referenced was concerns about threats to water quality, followed by government barriers, followed by barriers to reducing non-point phosphorus sources. And then people also had a lot of ideas for increasing adoption of BMPs on farms and ideas for improving communication. All right, so based on what we heard about preferred communication methods during these interviews we conducted, we communicate with the advisory group through a wide range of methods because people listed a lot of different types of ways they preferred. And so, for example, some of the mass communication methods we have are our website and our monthly newsletter. And then I also keep up with members through lots of individual emails, phone calls, Zoom, and in-person meetings to discuss members' concerns and ideas. And these conversations have led to the development of a lot of small group community events. All right, so for example, we held a fall farm tour in 2023, 2 tours of the Great Lakes Water Authority's wastewater recovery facility in Detroit, a tour of coastal community on Lake Erie, Luna Pier, and a tour of Toledo's drinking water treatment facility. We also hosted webinars about topics ranging from regenerative agriculture and biosolid fertilizers to small group meetings to discuss topics like septic systems. So more formally, our advisory group members representing each major membership sector gather annually in person with the goal of building trusting relationships among members, state officials, and scientists, learning new information about projects as they progress, and engaging in brainstorming and team building activities. This gives us an opportunity for real-time feedback between the state and our project partners and the community advisory group about very specific efforts to reduce phosphorus pollution into Lake Erie. So these pictures are from June's advisory group meeting in Monroe, hosted at Monroe County Community College. And participants at this meeting included our advisory group members, about 45 folks were able to come in person that time, representatives from each of the quality of life agencies who were on the DAP team, and the scientists who were working on projects in the watershed. So important components of each in-person advisory group meeting include structured networking activities and ample unstructured networking time, including a long lunch. And the goal of this is to facilitate organic conversations between members and to build relationships across silos. And we also include semi-structured feedback sessions with the advisory group and project leads with the goal of facilitating two-way communication. So the state agencies and their contractors working on these state-funded projects have been actively participating in our past 3 meetings, and we look forward to their continued involvement in our next meetings. So this winter, we're doing a webinar series to provide an opportunity for the community to participate live in the webinar and ask questions, or to watch it later on YouTube at a time that's convenient for them. And the goal is to have some information being shared in between our 2 in-person summer meetings. So we've hosted 2 webinars so far, and the rest are listed here on this slide. These are open to the public living in the Western Lake Erie Basin, and we encourage you to register by going to this QR code or the link at the bottom of the screen. All of this is posted on the Western Lake Erie Basin website. So being responsive to the needs of our community is really important to us. And so to capture feedback iteratively, we started with initial interviews, but we also send out exit surveys after each meeting. And this survey gauges members' confidence in communicating information about the domestic action plan to their networks, and asks for feedback on the meeting, and asks for suggestions for improvement next time. And beyond these formal assessments, I also spend a lot of time communicating one-on-one with members through many phone calls, Zoom meetings, and email chains to stay on top of what's going on in the community, and provide a year-round method for advisory group members to provide feedback and suggest new ideas. So as I receive feedback, I use it to design the next in-person meeting and support additional activities to fill needs in between the meetings. So for example, farmers came to the Water Center with the idea for a bus tour showcasing regenerative agriculture principles in the Upper Mummy watershed. So we hosted this tour on August 21st of last year to demonstrate how farming practices that maintain living root systems, diversify crop rotations, and integrate animals can reduce external fertilizer inputs, build soil, and ultimately promote improved water quality in Lake Erie. And this was around the time MDARD was starting their regenerative agriculture program. So this was a nice way to kick all of that off. So another example of how we work to meet the needs of our community is by providing them with the opportunity to review Michigan's draft domestic action plan. So we also hope to continue doing like iterative feedback on this every year to make sure that we're getting feedback, especially on individual projects that are happening in the watershed and affecting our members. So this past year in March, we facilitated 2 in-person meetings with the DAP team, so that our members could give direct feedback to state officials about the domestic action plan. And then we also had a Zoom feedback session. And the DAP team also accepted written comments from the advisory group. So there were a lot of opportunities for the advisory group to get very involved in this process of creating this government document. And the DAP team took their feedback very seriously and used it to improve the domestic action plan that Michelle was talking about just now. And then we're also mobilizing the many resources that the University of Michigan has to offer to fill other gaps identified by the advisory group. So one of these things is people feel that there are a lot of silos in the community and that they don't know what other people are doing. And so we recruited a team of master's students to develop a database of information about all the projects that are working to address nutrient pollution in the Western Lake Erie Basin. So this database is being co-designed with the advisory group and the DAP team, and aims to help foster collaboration and break down silos by facilitating open information sharing. So if you're working on a project about nutrient reduction in the Western Lake Erie Basin, we encourage you to submit your project here. And this is all also, we have a page about this on our website. So the Water Center is also responding to specific requests for communication tools to help explain the DAP to their networks. The DAP is is a pretty accessible but is long government document. And so we have been workshopping a variety of DAP outreach materials, including a pamphlet, a postcard, and a 10-page executive summary to provide to the advisory group so that they can distribute the information to their networks when they get questions about things. Okay, so beyond seeking feedback from the local community, we also facilitate science panels to inform adaptive management. So the science panels bring together scientists from across the country, meeting primarily over Zoom and then attending the in-person Western Lake Erie Basin conferences that we host. So the first science panel pictured here convened in 2023 at our first Western Lake Erie Basin conference. And their expertise ranged from biogeochemistry to behavioral science. And this panel included two members who had been implementing adaptive management to clean up impaired waters in South Florida and the Chesapeake Bay, which allowed us to learn from past efforts to take on large decadal scale watershed projects like we are here in the Western Basin. So the panel worked really closely with the DAP team to produce a report and presented at Michigan's Western Lake Erie Basin Conference at the end of the year to update the community on their findings, provide their recommendations, and answer questions. And based on some of the recommendations from the science panel, we've recently recruited a new science panel that will focus on social science in 2025. And this panel will develop a mixed methods approach that Michigan's quality of life agencies can use to conduct program evaluation and monitor social indicators of behavior change in the Western Lake Erie Basin. So if you want to learn more about how that went, you can come to our conference in June at Adrian College. All right, so we are continuing to work with the state to refine this process of providing iterative feedback from diverse perspectives to improve community engagement and enhance efforts to improve water quality in the watershed. And we will continue to document this process, and we plan to share lessons learned with other jurisdictions to help them address similar wicked problems around water quality through community engagement. And this work is all made possible by the Fred A. and Barbara M. Erb Family Foundation, who generously support my salary and this work through a grant and have been extremely supportive of our work over the last 2 years. And then you can access our website with this QR code and learn more about the Western Lake Erie Basin Advisory Group, including a full list of our members. And please reach out to me directly if you have questions. I would be happy to talk to you.